Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of On the House. Today I have a really good friend of mine, my barber, and a big part of the agency, Elliott Chester.
Yo, what up?
What's up, brother?
What's going on, brother?
I was just thinking the other day, like how we met, because Elisa was asking me, and I was thinking it was Mike Clem, August 2016 with Marvin. That was the first time.
That was, yeah.
I think I'd been to Elliott Co. through the Enjaquani brothers, but I don't think you were there when I went.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Mike calling me up, telling me, "Hey, I got this young guy, this young kid. I think he called you. I got this young cat moving to Vegas.
Yeah.
I know that you're a big fan of MMA. I know you take care of a lot of MMA, fighters there in Las Vegas. I want to get you guys connected." And that was something that Mike was just always really good at, was just, talking about connecting, connecting people. And Mike was so well respected in the industry, and just, making sure that he took care of his people. And so, he said, "Elliott, he's a great guy. Reminds me a lot of you. I think you guys are going to get along really, really well."
Oh, that's cool.
I was looking forward to meeting you.
Heck yeah. And it's funny too, because was it Eves Edwards was your first?
Eves Edwards.
Because I remember, like, when we met by 2016, I was initially like, wow, like you were always so good with the fighters early on. Like even now, still to this day, I feel like you really knew kind of how to read their energy on the fight week haircuts and kind of deal with them. And I'm like, was it always that easy for you, or or you just kind of grew into as you started working with more and more fighters in the town and stuff?
I think it is old school traditional, like barber chair manner, right? I came up in a time where, before social media, so and still I still have a hard time with this. It's not about me; it's about the guy in the chair. So, one of the things that I learned and was taught early on was you always make it about the person in the chair. So if they are in a mode where they want to conversate, where they want to talk, where they want to have this, fun, laughing, crazy, whatever experience, you know what I mean? Then that's what you provide for them. If a guy just wants to sit down in the chair and just be quiet, then you do that. And so I think that's the era that I came up in. But also, working where I worked. When I met Eves Edwards, I was working in a casino barbershop. A lot of, high-end clientele, a lot of executives, taking care of celebrities. It was on a weekly basis. I had, some, A-list, B-list, celebrity in my chair. It really was just, part of it, you know what I mean? So working with anyone in that hemisphere, celebrity, athlete, executive, knowing how to conduct yourself is very important. Still to this day, like, if I take care of Wu-Tang Clan for their residency here in Las Vegas, and sometimes I'll have to bring in a younger barber because there's so many of those guys. But that's a conversation that I have with them
beforehand. Hey, like, this is the energy or the vibe of the room. This is how they like it.
Exactly. This is the way that we do it. Some of these guys, some of these barbers that I bring along with me, they've taken care of, celebrities before, pro athletes.
Yeah.
But I don't know how they conduct themselves with those guys. You know what I mean? Because of social media, I see a lot of things that barbers do. I hear a lot of things that barbers do that I don't necessarily agree with. You know what I mean? I'm not, immediately taking pictures and videos.
All up in the videos.
So a lot of these guys don't want, but a lot of these cats, they just want to get their haircut. They don't want they don't want an impromptu photo session. You know what I mean? They don't want an impromptu video session. They want to get their haircut and they want to chill and they want to relax. You know what I mean? They don't want to, they don't want photos of what they look like before they're completed.
When they're all shaggy.
Yeah, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because these guys have public images, you know what I mean? So some of these cats, if you're working with a 50-something year old artist, although you look at those billboards, bro, those cats don't look like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they're very protective of that. So knowing how to conduct yourself is really, really important. You know what I mean? And you take a picture, you might not get a phone call again.
Yeah. I always remember because I feel like you and I always hit it off, and I mean, I joke around. You're my unofficial therapist. I just vent to you on the chair a lot of the times, but
Right.
I just can't. I can't count how many times fighters would compliment me on what a good experience they had with you. And at first, I was like, "Oh man, that's because Elliott gives a really good haircut. Like I do think you're amazing at your craft." But then I started realizing it. Like, man, you have client A, fighter A, right? Fighter B, two different personalities. And I started realizing all the different personalities that were going into your chair, and they were all coming out. So I'm like, damn, Elliott must read the room extremely freaking well, because I know that guy's really quiet on fight week and he's nervous. I know this guy's bouncing up and down. That's like Christmas for him when he fights. I know this guy's going through some personal stuff right now, so I don't know. And so I've always really admired that about you, and I always feel like it's not a haircut. It's actually a way for the guys to get away from the fight week.
Right.
And it's such I think, an advantage to our agency that you're so present in Vegas, right? And that you're always available for these guys, because so many times they're like, man, I love Elliott. I had such a good time with him. And then I'll talk to you and he's like, yeah, we were talking about this and that. And I'm like, I'm learning stuff about the client through you. And so I just don't think that gets enough credit, because I know in my earlier days, when I was managing, sometimes you would get a guy that maybe was a bit talkative for a client that was trying to zone in, or a guy that didn't really know how to read the room or the vibe of the room. Me personally, I know like one moment you changed my life was the night that Brandon won the belt. I came into your room to get a haircut, and I was like super nervous, like I was almost like jittery, and you're like, Jay, he got this. I'll never forget it. You said it so confidently. You're like, Jay, he got this. It's gonna be good, man. Relax. And I remember you thinking like, okay, and it made me feel good too, because I was like, well, he did cut Brandon earlier, and so he must have saw that, And sometimes you just need a word from someone you love and trust, just to, just put your hand on my shoulder and say, hey, dude, it's going to be good.
And I remember that day in particular in Phoenix. I remember how calm Brandon was. You know what I mean? And I, just the fact that I'm in physical contact with these guys. I'm touching their shoulder, I'm touching their, their face, their head. Yeah. And you can feel, like I can feel when a guy's really nervous. I can feel when a guy's tense and he's tight. You know what I mean? And I can feel when someone's just real chill. And like Brandon just had this cool, calm demeanor. I knew he was locked in. He was ready. You know what I mean? It was go out there, do a job, get it done. He was extremely confident, and you can sense when someone's got that confidence. And he was extremely confident. Like if he wouldn't have won that night, I would have been completely shocked, because he seemed.
Well, you said it with such like confidence, such authenticity. I was like I could tell you meant it when you said it. I don't know why. I'll never forget this moment. I'll laugh about it on my deathbed. You just put it there, and I remember just thinking like, oh, okay, it's going to be okay. And you helped me be present that night, because some days you're so nervous, you're not present in the moment.
Stuff to do. Especially you, Jay, because I see the way that you work, man. And, me and you are, I'm on a couple of those notes with you, and it blows me away, man. You're freaking watching, Jay added such and such on fight week notes. You know what I mean? 4 o'clock in the morning, 3. I tell these cats all the time when they're in the chair. I say, hey man, let me tell you something. Jason works his ass off for you guys. You know what I mean? That dude, my phone is going off nonstop. You know what I mean? So I know when he's working on stuff for you guys. I mean, that dude don't stop. You know what I mean? So I'm very fortunate, and Jason, I really do appreciate that. You've put so much trust in me with your athletes.
Brother, you've earned it. They love you. They love you.
I really
I'm telling you.
it. And, and for me being, a little older guy, you know what I mean? And I think maybe that also has a little bit to do with it, because a lot of these cats are so young. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I got kids, some of their age. Look at, Cody Steele, Mateus Camillo, you know what I mean? Who's like, dude, my kids get mad, but like, oh, dad's favorite son, Mateus, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? But it's their relationships that I appreciate. You know what I mean? And I appreciate that I get to be a little small part of their fight week, or a little small part of their career. And having these young cats come into the shop to get a haircut, they trust me with with how they look. They ask me my opinion on, on things, you know what I mean? On, business,
Yeah.
asking when I get a guy that asks me a question, and sometimes it's, Elliott, how did you get started? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I know that it means, I know they're not just asking me how'd I get started, because, there's something that there's something that they're looking for.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure something out, you know what I mean, in regards to their business, you know what I mean? And that's one of the things that I tell them is like, listen, man, you don't look at yourself as just an athlete, you're a business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So how do you create something that's going to last you the rest of your life out of this very small window that you have? And I said, I promise you, you're 23, 24, 25. If you're lucky, you get to do this until you're 35, 36, 37. I mean, bro, you got 10, 12 years. It's going to go by like that.
It's going to fly by. Yeah.
Right. So how do you make the most of this opportunity so that it can last you into your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond? And, I love having those conversations with those guys.
Yeah. One part is I heard Anthony Pettis give us, he's doing a podcast. He spoke about that, just how short it is and how you need to maximize that time. It was actually really well said. I wanted to send him a message and tell him like, hey man, like you're really put a lot of these young fighters on game, and that's really good, Anthony. I really have a lot of respect for you.
Such a smart guy.
Yeah, I always looked up to him when he was in his heyday. I was coming up. But other thing too, I always feel like Elliott, like you connected me with Anthony. Like I feel like you always do a good job of connecting people together. And I feel like, even on the like clothing side or even the grooming product side, you're always connecting with the people. And I think that's something that's really cool about your shop is that like all walks of life, like Brandon Collinsworth, like man, I love that guy. I love following him on social media. Yeah. I never would have met him if I didn't come to Elliott Co. one day and you're like, hey Jay, got me my boy, and you're like, and you're doing it. So it's cool that all the walks of life that you deal with, and how you're able to kind of network it all together.
And I think, and that's something that I think barbers are notoriously good for. I mean, we take care of we take care of people, in every aspect of life. And it's something that I purposely want to make sure that I do. So when I know there's two guys that might be in the shop at the same time, and I can make an introduction, if these dudes are doing something that are complementary, two businesses that are complementary, these guys need to meet each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, hell, why do people go to networking events? You know what I mean?
No, it's true.
And that's what my shop is it's networking. And I've got so many, I'm very fortunate, I'm very blessed. I don't take it, for granted, but I'm very fortunate that I have such a great clientele, from all over the spectrum, and a lot of business professionals, a lot of professionals, a lot of guys that are at the tippy top of what they do.
Yeah.
They come to us, whether it's a customer of mine, someone who sits in my chair, or if they sit, in one of my other barbers' chair.
Yeah.
I do my best to try to find out, who all these guys are, what
they're
they
in
do.
Your room.
And if there's something that I can do to, help them with their job or make an introduction, I always try to do it. Especially if it's one of my guys, like, if it's someone I know that is going to be beneficial to, to the agency, you know what I mean? I do my best to make that connection.
Yeah, I was like, me and Jeremy were laughing. I think it was when I asked you, like I was telling you that Brandon wanted to open a coffee shop. In like 5 seconds, you're like, oh, I think I know someone. And I know someone that could do like a layout and design. I'm thinking like, Elliott knows someone.
I got a meeting about it. I actually have a meeting about it today.
And I remember like, I told Jeremy, I was like, man, anytime I feel bad, I'm like, hey, do you know someone? Like, oh yeah, let me make a call for you. I always feel bad. You're like, you're like our Rolodex, you know what I mean? You just connect us to all these people, and that's just a tribute to you. But it's great, because I know when I spoke to Brandon about it, he was like, man, it seemed like Elliott had a good hold on it, and he was explaining how we would design it, and it's just cool because you have created businesses, you have created shops. I mean, the Garrison is beautiful. I think it's the gold standard, and it's just cool to see. I know it's a benefit to our guys, and especially on the clothing side with Stitch, when you really got a lot of our guys dialed in for their fight weeks, which I really appreciate and stuff, and for the award ceremonies too.
And I love it, man. I love helping to get these guys dialed in, and seeing them in a nice suit.
How did that side start with the?
How did I meet those guys? I know it's the same as anything else. I started taking care of somebody who introduced me to one of the owners, which was Eamon, and then I started taking care of Sam, who is now an owner. He's now a partner When he first started out, he was an associate working for Stitched. But that guy's worked his way up to actually become a partner in the company.
It's impressive.
Very impressive. And we've done. They've asked me to come out and do some private events. They used to have a location in Miami in Brickell, and they opened up a 2-chair barbershop at their Brickell location. I actually opened up that barbershop.
Oh wow!
For them in Brickell. And then they turned it over to a local barber, but to get it going and to do some of their their big corporate networking events, they have me come out and
wow.
I take care of the clients and kind of get that whole what the experience is supposed to be like going, and we just work together for, man, it's probably going on 10 years now. And so anytime I have someone who is looking for that level of suit experience, if they're wanting the best that you can get, I send them to Stitched. And Sam is amazing. I'll call Sam up, make an introduction, and he does a great job of personally taking care of a lot of our guys and making people feel very, very welcome. Especially with that, Alex Perez. I just helped Alex Perez out with a suit over at Stitch, which went down there with him, you know what I mean? But a lot of guys, they're not, it's something that they've never done. It's one thing to go to Macy's to go get some dress slacks and a shirt, but buying a suit can be somewhat intimidating. You know what I mean? A lot of guys don't know what all is entailed, you know what I mean? So to be able to go in there and, make an introduction and, have those guys, they know the right questions to ask. They know what to do to make someone feel comfortable. And he walked out with a really nice suit that's going to have some multiple uses for it.
Awesome. So, if those don't know, so Elliott, really, I think the first client you did was with Brandon, right?
Yeah.
And really helped his attire for the fight weeks, for the award ceremonies that were a result of our success on these fight weeks, and even the whole team. And Elliott came with us to Stitched. He helped us, pick out the right clothing, the right shoes. I mean, every little detail was taken care of, and it was definitely new for all of us at the agency. I know it was definitely new for Brandon, and now I know you've done it for multiple clients. But it's such an asset to have someone that can give these guys an experience like that, and look good, feel good, fight good.
Look good, feel good, fight good.
I know you always did.
Look good, feel good, fight good, 100%, man.
Yeah, and I think I think that just goes to the little things that I don't think people realize affects a fighter and their performance. Is just all the good energy they're getting leading up to the fight, whether it be a grooming experience or picking out a new suit or whatever the attire may be for that night. Those are lasting memories.
and you know what? And I guess, Jay, the way that I see it is like the time with me is that time that it doesn't have anything to do with fighting. It's their break. You know what I mean? They get to take a break for the 30 minutes or the hour that they're with me. You know what I mean? Everything else, that they're doing, eating, if they're meeting with, their physical therapist or massage or whatever it is that they're doing, that is all
fight related.
Haircut and, getting cleaned up is not fight related. You know what I mean? That's you want to look good for your fight, right? You want to look good for the press conference and for your photos and all that stuff, but it's really not fight related, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's their time to come in and kind of unplug and, recharge their batteries a little bit. So, I really do I want to make sure that I give them the experience that they're looking for and what they want. Some guys want to talk about the fights.
Yeah.
Some guys don't, man. Some guys want to talk about their kids or they want to talk about, what they're doing after the fights and vacation and holiday. And they want to talk about what they're going to eat. You know what I mean? So, I try to be that vessel for them,
Yeah. And I obviously I see you in your environment at the Garrison. The one environment that always impressed me the most was just on the fight weeks, because it's kind of a hectic schedule to run and gun, and you're cutting so many different fighters that are within 3 days of fighting, all different energies. And I always so impressed. Like even the San Antonio trip, I think I couldn't even count how many people
that was a big week.
You saw And I remember just thinking, like, man, he's bringing the energy to all these guys. All these guys are getting his best one after another.
Right.
And I know it was such a crazy card, but I think it's just so impressive because it's such an ample role. You know, you get a good haircut, you feel really good.
Right.
I know the guys, it's, you know, even before their pictures in their media, they're always wanting like, I look good. I want to be clean shaven. I don't want to look scruffy and stuff. Because usually during camp, they let it go a little bit.
Yeah, especially my boy, Brandon.
yeah.
And that guy, but that just goes to show his work ethic, man. That dude,
Yeah.
that guy's salt of the earth, man. Put your boots on, put your flannel on, and get to work. You know what I mean? That guy's a freaking animal. I love him, bro.
Yeah,
I just love him.
He really taught me a lot. That work ethic really showed me, like, man.
And it's a testament, bro. Like you guys have a very similar work ethic. You know what I mean? You're very focused, very driven. You know what I mean? You don't, you know, it's not. You don't waste a lot of words. You know what I mean? Everything's very concise, and that's something that that's something that I appreciate, and I pick up. I see, you know, that about you two. So, you know, very early on, it makes a lot of sense why Brandon's gotten the success that he's gotten, especially, you know, in working with you. And just, bro, you're the eye for talent, you know what I mean, and what you've done with these guys. Like what you've done with Diego, bro, it's just absolutely incredible, man.
It's an incredible story.
It's absolutely incredible, man. Yeah. But you know, I think when you believe in someone the way that you believed in him, you know what I mean, from the very beginning, and it never wavered. Once he gets a shot, the world is going to see how good this guy is. Yeah. And look at what he's done, you know. Yeah. I again, man, I've had, you know, some conversations with some of these young guys, and I'm always like, yo, if you have any questions in regards to how good Jason is, bro, look at all you got to do is look at Diego. That's all you got to do is look at Diego's career. And that's what a manager, I mean, Diego goes in and does the work, but all the work on the backside of that, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's, man, just to think of how that whole thing happened with, you know, he got a shot at Contenders, loses the fight, you know what I mean? I mean, it's just what you've done, Jay. I swear to God, it's just crazy, man. It is crazy.
Elisa was giving me crap the other day because Diego ignored me for a few months on Instagram. When we finally met him was in Fight Island. We were both locked in the same hotel. And I woke Elisa up. I'm like, hey, you got to come down for breakfast. He's finally going to meet with me. This kid's going to be champion. And she's like, no, I'm tired. My sleep's all off. We're in Abu Dhabi. I was like, no, please. I need you to translate. I need you to do this. You know, this kid's going to be good. And so for years, you know, I'm sure she's probably sitting back going like, man, it's not what you thought. But now on the brink of a title shot, I say, I told you he was going to be a champion.
Yeah, you can pick
the road was a little uncertain at times, but I mean.
But the belief was, the belief and the faith was unwavering, man. Yeah. And I think that is just
I think guys like Diego and Brandon that have gone through so much, like, they're going to get what they want in this world. Yeah. They're just too determined. They just, you know, Brandon's story, Diego's story, all these guys, all their stories are just, man. They've been through.
They just know, bro. You know what I mean? Like when you talk to them, you know what I mean? When you're around them, there's this thing that, like, those guys know where they're going to go. They just they just got to get through the journey. You know what I mean? But they know where they're going to go. And they're willing to make the sacrifice. They're willing to put in the work. And that's the hard thing is doing the work, man. It's the grind, and those guys are just grinders. You know, you always just see those guys just working their ass off. You know what I mean? I mean, hell, bro, I'll see Brandon once every 2 months. I'm like, bro, you know we could put this on a schedule, man.
Yeah. It's funny because I'll see Brandon who'd be looking, you know, little grizzly, a little
Everybody knows when Brandon got a haircut.
Yeah, and then he gets, I'm like, damn, you're a whole new person.
Bro, he does, man. When he's all freshened up and tightened up, man, he looks like a totally different cat, bro. You know what I mean? But man,
I remember when you first started cutting his hair, I was like, damn, you got to be looking good.
And he's got tough hair too, bro. Like
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, his hair grows in every direction. His hair does what it wants to do, and I just try to work with it. You know what I mean? But
After all these years of cutting, you ever get nervous to cut someone's hair or someone of a certain stature? Or
No, nobody.
did you ever in the beginning?
Yeah, at first I did. At first, I was really, really nervous to cut Anthony Johnson's hair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you know, I was a big. You know, at the end of the day, bro. This is a dream gig for me, man. Because I am such a huge MMA fan. You know what I mean? Like, I order every fight week. You know what I mean? Like, I love MMA.
No, I know you do. I know you do.
And so I was a big fan of Rumble. And when he walked into the room, I had no idea I was gonna. But when he walked into the room, I was like, "Oh my God, that's freaking Anthony Rumble Johnson, bro." And he's like, "Can I get a cut?" And his demeanor, he's very serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he just warms up so fast, and he's such a man. I fucking miss him so much, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really do miss him a lot.
I'm trying not to get emotional when I talk about it, but I was in Stillwater wrestling in Oklahoma State, taking an Uber back to the airport, and I'm on the phone, and I'm just telling my wife how good the trip was and all this stuff. I get off the phone, the lady goes, "Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You're involved in MMA?" She said, "Yeah." She goes, Anthony Rumble Johnson was one of my really good friends. And she went on talking about Anthony for freaking a 40-minute car ride to Oklahoma City. And I was just getting choked up because I know I told you before, like, he was one of the very first athletes I ever, you know, the sport change that I interned at, they repped him at the time. And he was one of the first fighters I ever came in contact with. And man, he could have told me, like, get lost, kid. And he was always so nice and actually putting me on game, you know what I mean, that this is going on. And man, I'll just never forget it. It just, but it's crazy because every time you meet someone that knows Anthony, they all
say the same
thing. Like an Uber driver in Oklahoma,
he was
crying in her car about the impact that he had on her life.
That man was he was just a very rare soul. You know what I mean? He was just a regular guy.
Yeah.
Anthony was a regular guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And loved regular people. You know what I mean? There would be times where, you know, he would have a dinner with a bunch of cats, and it would be, oh yeah, like one of his friends was like a tortilla chip like salesperson. You know what I mean? Like, not a VP or just like he just ran a route. You know what I mean? And for some reason, you know, him and Anthony just became buddies. You know what I mean? And he was just a regular cat, man. And I remember his birthday party one year. We had a dinner at what's the steakhouse over at the Cosmo? STK. We had a dinner at STK, and you know, all these guys, man. It was just such an interesting group of people. You know what I mean? And everyone was there for Anthony, but you know, it was just all walks of life. You know, all nationalities. You know, just a bunch of regular old guys. You know what I mean? And he just was he was a real one. And, but I remember when I first met him, man, I was so nervous to cut his hair. But now I've been doing it for so long, bro. Like there's nothing I haven't seen. And
I know, because sometimes you're not name dropping, you'll tell me someone you cut hair, I'm like, dude, I'd be nervous to go see that person or cut this person's hair, or especially for whatever their performance or fight was coming up is a big one. You're like, oh wow, you know.
What was it? There was a movie that Connor did. It was like a document, like his first documentary that came out.
Yep.
There was when he showed up late to the press conference with Nate Diaz. Well, that was he wanted his haircut before he went to the press conference. So those cats were waiting on me to get there. They called me up like last minute. I had to move some things around, and the traffic was crazy. So, you know, I showed up a little later than I had hoped to show up. So he was running behind for the press conference. You know, Connor does what the hell he wants to do. But when I showed up, they had this huge film crew there. They were shooting, and I didn't realize what they were shooting for. You know what I mean? So these guys are all, you know, captured. I was a little nervous for that once I realized me and Dylan walked outside and he told me what was going on, and I was like, oh shit. You know? So it's funny. There's a clip in that documentary where he's walking down some stairs, walking out of their house. Like, bro, like I was right there when they shot that scene.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to see that. But but for the most part, man, anymore, I don't get nervous anymore. I'm an old dog, bro. So
I know. I feel like sometimes too, you just get right to it. Like you're not even thinking. You just right to work.
Just cutting hair, brother.
Yeah.
Just cutting hair. Just some cameras around. That's all.
Man. Yeah. I've always respected that. Like you seem to like. I mean, you've explained my head and my hair to me, and I'm like, wow. Like there's a legit science to this I never thought of. And now when I'm stuck getting a haircut somewhere else, sometimes I'm like, oh man, they didn't see the balance of my head. They didn't see my dough. Boy, I should have had Elliott FaceTime.
You know, it's funny too, bro. It's like now.
But I tell you, I'm honest. You know when I got butched.
And you know what's and I'll see, and I see you on TV, and I'm like, ooh.
Those road trips be getting me sometimes playing roulette when you're going to a barber in the city.
It's a rough game.
That Salt Lake City got me bad.
Yeah, it's rough. Some guys, but it's crazy that the industry, like haircutting wise, has gotten so much better. Like there's some really, really talented barbers all over the place. I mean, there's some kids. I mean, I walk into my middle son Ethan is in barber school right now.
Yeah.
And I'll go to his school and walk through the room and I'll see some of these kids cutting hair and I'm like,
they're legit good.
Bro, I wasn't cutting hair like that when I was in school.
Wow.
These kids are crazy talented.
What do you think it is? Is it maybe like more access through the YouTube and social media?
100%, yeah, 100%. When I was coming up, you got to see, if you knew a barber or you knew a couple guys, you could pop into a barber shop and see, there were some hair shows that you can go to and you could see work like that. But it was, or you can go to a class, you could pay to take a class. And, the first class that I took was, I took a Vidal Sassoon class in Santa Monica. And, but the education wasn't as prevalent as it is now. YouTube, all of these, really talented, big artists that work, for all these different manufacturers. These guys all got YouTube.
They're all producing content.
They're all producing crazy content. So, there's so much information. The tools have gotten so much better. Access to quality tools have gotten so much better.
Oh, so equipment itself is
Equipment is better. You know what I mean? What we're using now is so much better. Just the level, just the craftsmanship, the artistry has gotten just unbelievably leaps and bounds better, man. Like it's crazy.
And what are your thoughts on this might be a big question, but like the thoughts on social media and barbers and kind of all that whole, I know it's kind of very prevalent now. A lot of guys are trying to gain their fame through that social media. Right.
I think it's a great tool. I mean, obviously if you use it right, you know what I mean? And I think, what I tell, young barbers is you need to figure out what kind of barber you want to be. I mean, Jay, and bro, listen, I don't have a big, massive following on, social media. You know what I mean? My personal Instagram page.
Well, I guess that's why I asked is because I feel like you have gotten a very prevalent clientele without doing that, right? And some people have done it. And I mean, to each their own, it's there's a wrong or right, but I'm just kind of curious your thoughts for a young barber coming up, because I've seen you do it organically. I mean, I've seen the rooms you've been in, and I see some guys on social media that seem to be doing very well,
right,
pumping their content out and kind of building their name base through that way too.
I think it's a very important tool, especially if you use it the right way. I think that it's look, at the end of the day, it's you have the ability to show your talent to a massive market, you know what I mean, to global scale, just on your phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I do, it is different now though. You know what I mean? Like social media in the beginning versus social media now is a lot different. You know what I mean? So, the guys that got in and really learned how to leverage it, they didn't have to pay for a lot of the stuff that, now in order for me to get my stuff out, you know what I mean? I'm spending a lot of money on ads and, boosting content to get it out of it, to get it out there. But, for me personally, I think because I started in a time that I didn't have it, I was able to grow, my network organically the old fashioned way. And then I mix it in with with some social media, you know what I mean? So, I get some of the barbers that, that work for me, you know what I mean? They're like, such a Cheeto Vera came in the shop. Oh, just a regular old day for Elliott. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But to me, that's what the cool of it is.
Well, I think that's why a lot of guys respect you too, because I feel like it's real recognized. Like it's not a big deal. You know what I mean? It's like I come to you. It's like okay, like. I know Cheetos ran to your shop before. Legit ran from his hotel to your shop before. So I mean that makes me laugh.
But that goes to show, dude, because you don't get too much. You don't get more real than Cheeto.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I take a lot of pride that that I can shoot Cheeto a text and me and him are cool like that. You know what I mean? But I think Cheeto knows that. I don't do none of this.
Sometimes he's like, "Hey, what's Elliott up to?" I'm like, "Bro, you got us number. Hit him up. He'd love to. You go."
It's funny. I'll get the random like "Happy Thanksgiving" text from that guy. Happy Thanksgiving, bro. Like, Happy Thanksgiving, Cheeto. You know what I mean? But I don't do it for clout, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, as a matter of fact, I like to keep my personal, like I like to keep my personal life private. So anything that you might see on. And I think I might post, the last time I posted something on my personal Instagram was when I was in Korea with Mateus, you know what I mean? So, it's like this, like the really special moments, for me, you know what I mean? I like to be present. I don't want to be on my phone all the time. I'm not trying to sell anybody anything, you know what I mean? There's a lot of these young guys, they're trying to build their network. They're trying to, they're trying to build, they're trying to become marketable, you know what I mean? So I don't, right now, I don't work for a product brand. I don't work for a brand. I don't work for a manufacturing company. I don't work for anybody. So I don't have to put all that stuff out there.
And I guess that's another reason why I asked was because like there's a balance between developing the art and like promoting the art, right? I guess, like when you're young, maybe you should spend so many hours, I'm just guessing, I'm not about cutting hair, right? But then you're also now, I feel like these young barbers, they also have to be out promoting, but it's kind of like a balancing, making sure you're putting it into the craft more,
it's a lot harder now than it was. I just had to be good at cutting hair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These kids got to be good at cutting hair. They got to be good at taking pictures. They got to be good at editing. They got to be good at, social media.
And I see it, like we went to New York and like 4 barbers hit me up. Hey man, I know you manage fighters. I'll come to your hotel. I'm like, man, they're aggressive. I mean, I respect the hustle. I respect that they're trying to get their name out there. They're looking for an opportunity to maybe get a photo and a haircut and, show some of their experience. But, the irony is that I met you because I called Mike Clem and I didn't know anyone. And I was hoping, I didn't want to look bad to my client Marvin at the time and get him a crappy haircut. I want to get him something good. And Mike led me to you. But now it's like, they're,
And that, Dave, Conor McGregor's photographer, one time we were talking and he goes, Elliott, look at my DMs. And bro, he must have had 20
I bet
barbers.
I bet, yeah.
Just, bro, I want to cut Conor. Bro, how can I cut Conor? Hey, I'll cut all you guys for free. You know what I mean? So I get it, man. These guys, these cats are hungry and, you want to, if you can get it does mean a lot. It means a lot, it means a lot when you can get a picture with, a big celebrity, you know what I mean? Your Instagram, your TikTok goes crazy. You know what I mean?
feel like for tattoo artists and barbers are the two that I always see, like, man, if they get a couple hits with the right people,
right.
Like
It can blow you up.
It'll just go nuts.
Yeah, you working with the right guy will absolutely blow you up. But on that same note, you know what I mean? On that same note, for the athlete, or for the celebrity, it's really important, that you're working with the right guy. You know what I mean? And this is something that there's a lot of guys that are barbers or that call themselves barbers that aren't, they learned how to cut hair on YouTube. They haven't gotten licenses.
Correct.
And I preach this like crazy and it pisses me off because I do everything the right way. You know what I mean? I've got 2 business licenses, insurance, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, one of the things that I like to tell these guys, if you're out of town, you're somewhere and you go get a haircut from some guy, you know what I mean? Well, if this guy doesn't have a barber's license, that means he doesn't have insurance.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So if I cut such and such hair who was just at a gym and those guys don't take care of, they're not cleaning the mats and they're full of staph infection. You know what I mean? They're full of staph, and this guy gets a staph infection and he's got, a lesion on the back of his head, which Jay, you see this
all the time.
All the time. Right? So you give a guy who's got a big fight coming up, he's got a cut or a laceration or a mat burn, and now you give him staph. Well, what happens if he gets really, really sick?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because of it. And it's
Especially
not like
on a fight camp,
bro,
a fight week,
it's not like fights have not been, fights haven't stopped or, they've had to pull out because of a bad staph infection. You know what I mean? This is something that a barber can give to another client from one guy. And if you don't know how to take care of your stuff, you very easily can give that's a very real scenario.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, it's important. Make sure that you're working with guys who went to school, know how to take care of their implements, know how to sanitize their equipment so that, they're not giving people staph infections, making sure that they're clean barbers.
I always get nervous when the guys they hit you up, and I know they probably hit up everyone at the hotel because they all know where to stay,
right.
and they're going from like
room to room
and you're just wondering like, oh man, I hope they're
and bro, that's the toughest situation, because a lot of those times, and I know a lot of those guys don't have the stuff that you have in your shop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't have all of the proper sanitation.
All the tools and stuff, yeah.
So, guys are going from one guy to the next guy. They're not cleaning their stuff. You know what I mean? They're in a hurry. You know what I mean? Their equipment's all dirty. Their combs are dirty. How are you sanitizing your combs? How are you sanitizing your brushes? How are you sanitizing your blades? You know what I mean? You got a can of Cool Lube. You know what I mean? You're spraying everything down. There's a way, and there's ways to use that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not just, I just spray it on and now it's good to go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, that's not how that stuff works.
One time, I don't want to name the place or anything, but I got a haircut on the road in one of those situations, and like the equipment looked a little. I was just like, we're rolling the dice today, But again, like, one reason why I've always respected you is in talking about the social media and guys looking for an opportunity to cut someone of stature or fame. One thing I've always loved about you is just, whether it be one of our clients, our young guns coming up, or whether it be, Brandon Moreno fighting for a title, you've always shown them the same love and respect and the same care on your chair. And I mean, I think Mateus Camilo is a perfect example of that. Right. You started cutting his hair, I believe, when he only had, a couple pro fights. And I mean, I think you went to his last 4 or 5 fights.
Yeah.
And now seeing him, getting to the UFC in this last one in Korea, I just admire that you've been an instrumental figure in his life. And I mean, obviously the friendship's in it for you. I'm saying there's nothing, you know what I mean? There's no like, you're not doing it for anything other than the kindness of your heart, that you love him, that you saw something in him that you cared for. And I admire that in you, because you want people to see what you see in your boys, right? You want them to see like, he's something, I see it, like he's got a big heart, Right. And I've always loved just your relationship with him, and just that you've been riding hard with him, even when it was dark and gloomy.
Right. It's it's like a father figure kind of thing. You know what I mean? And when I was young, when I was in my 20s, I'm blessed. I've got a great, my biological father is a great guy.
Yeah.
The man who raised me, my mom's husband, was an amazing human being, was a great father. And then I had an amazing, godfather, my mom's brother, who was like my idol, my hero growing up. Everything I do in life is because I wanted to be like him. And then I had a friend of mine, his father, Mike, was just a really an important mentor, someone who would take me out to lunch and would just talk me. He saw something in me, you know what I mean? And I'm just a big believer, man, that especially young men, they need men in their lives to guide them. Steel sharpens steel.
Yeah.
Iron sharpens iron. You know what I mean? So because I had that mentorship as a young man, growing up with the men who kind of guided me, I feel like it's my responsibility to mentor these young men.
Yeah.
And, and give them the little things that I can, whatever that little thing is, you know what I mean? Obviously, they're in the fight business. I can't show them how to fight, but, I can talk to them about forming an LLC.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can talk to them about, about integrity.
Yeah.
I can talk to them about, making business connections and how to conduct themselves and how to, how to be in a room with in a room of guys that when you're a little intimidated, if you don't know if you belong in the room or not, you know what I mean? Those are the things that I can talk to these guys about, and I can help to mentor them with.
Yeah.
And so when I have the opportunity, I do. And then sometimes comes along someone like Mateus, who's an amazing young man who's got an amazing story. He lost his father at I can't. When he won in Korea, Jay, I was at the airport coming home. I was crying like a baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't imagine, and I think I get emotional because I think about my sons.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine my boys trying to navigate life without me.
Yeah.
So it blows me away that he's doing this without his dad.
I thought God, you make me emotional. I thought the same thing when he had that moment in Korea. I was so happy you were there. Like, I know I've told you this. I don't want you to think I'm ever gassing you. It meant everything to me that you were there because I couldn't imagine getting to the UFC and just not having some mentor-like, father-like figure there to celebrate that moment with, right? And like the fact that he's in Vegas by himself, hasn't seen his mom. You know what I mean? Like I have so much respect for him because he's mature beyond his years. But you're right, like he's doing it, without someone to really lean on or call. So I know like having you has been such a huge,
And he's no, don't get me wrong, bro. Like Mateus is fortunate because he does have a good team. You know what I mean? He's got, I'm over freaking crying. I can't remember myself. He's got a great team, right? Yeah. He's got, Iridium, you and Lance and, and Jeremy and Jacob.
Yeah.
And he has, a good support at home, with his, his wife is super supportive of him, you know what I mean? And then, he's got me, you know what I mean? And his friends, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, when you meet him, you realize how important his mother and his brother and his father. Me and him just went out to dinner. We just went and had dinner on Saturday. And the whole time we were at dinner, bro, he's showing me pictures of a trip that he took with his dad and his mom and his brother. They went to Machu Picchu, and he's showing me all these pictures of his dad. You know what I mean? And he's like, he just you know how much these things. He's a 24-year-old kid, bro. He's a young guy. You know what I mean? And what isn't like what's important to him is family.
Yes.
And those relationships mean everything to him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to know that he's here, like essentially, alone, without blood relatives. He's got a family that he's made, right?
Yep.
And that's a beautiful family. But like, bro, I couldn't imagine my son Ethan like in another country. I couldn't imagine my son Ethan in another country.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out life without a brother, a mom, a dad.
Someone from that familiar circle,
there with you. You know what I mean? Someone that you can go, bro, my 26-year-old to just open up the garage door and come sleep on the couch. You know what I mean? Just because, and I'm assuming he does it just because he just wants familiarity. He's got his own place. He's got his own apartment, and I mean, sometimes he'll just come sleep. He'll just come home and lay down. You know what I mean? And he'll grab a bite and he'll just come sit on the couch and, what's up, Pop? Show me a couple things that he's working on, and then just crash. You know what I mean? It's you need that. Yeah. And I know Mateus is an amazing young man, and I can't wait to see that kid.
I knew it early on, like just the level of gratitude that he shows is it's so authentic, and I don't know how to explain it, but like He'll
He
write me.
means it too, bro.
Yeah, like we could just meet for whatever, coffee, breakfast. He'll send me the nicest every time. He'll thank me. Every time I invite him to my house for a holiday or a dinner,
thankful, bro.
he'll write me, and what a guy. I just can't, him getting into the UFC this December was a really big deal. Like, it felt really good, and just seeing you guys there. And I mean, you were the first person I called. You know what I mean? I wanted to hear your voice and your excitement, and
You made that kid's dream come true.
you know. So
You know what I mean? Like what that meant to him was that was him and his dad's dream. And I don't know if he's ever told you the sacrifices that his father made to get him to Rio, to get him just to get the plane ticket to come to the United States. You know, it was a big thing.
Yeah.
A big thing. You know what I mean? So, you know, that kid is he's so thankful.
I always feel like for Mateus, like it's like more than a dream. Like, I almost feel like a dream isn't enough because you had family involved in it, right? Like, I always laugh, like when Diego got dream, believe, and make it happen tatted on his chest, like in English. Like, in my head, I'm like, man, you got that tatted with the UFC nowhere near in sight. The rest of your life, you're gonna look at in the mirror and go, you know what that dream was. You can't lie to yourself, and you either know that you made it or
Bro,
you know,
is
like,
that dedication or what,
like,
bro?
you know. And so for guys like him and Mateus, or I see what Mateus is doing, it's like I couldn't imagine the weight of, I got to do this for my dad.
Yeah.
I got to make sure that wasn't in vain. I got to make sure that everything he sacrificed wasn't just, you know, and he had a lot of adversity this year, you know, tearing the bicep, having the surgery, you know, being out for a second, kind of missing that Contender Series window, keeping the faith.
That was hard, bro. There was a lot of conversations, bro. There was a lot of talks that me and him had, you know what I mean? And there were some times where, you know, I wasn't even sure if, you know, maybe he was going to go back to Brazil. He had gotten really homesick. He really wanted to go.
Yeah.
He really wanted to go home to be with his mother. And, you know, his mom is, you know, his mom and his brother are, you know, they're in Acre, you know what I mean? And it's not the greatest, you know, it's not the greatest area, you know what I mean? Like, you know, Mateus still feels he has a lot of work to do, you know what I mean? But, you know, and there's no doubt that he's going to get, like, as confident as I was when I told you Brandon's got this.
Yes.
Is as confident as I feel that Mateus will be a champion.
Yeah. No.
Like, he's special.
I truly feel the same.
Yeah.
What makes me feel good that you said it now. You're already. I'll never forget that moment. I'm telling you right now, on my deathbed, I will think about it. I will giggle how off my energy was, how of a nervous wreck. Just so you know, full disclosure, I almost went home that Wednesday.
Wow.
I was in my head so much on this moment, never being able to win the big one. It was in my head. And I was like, man, I don't even bring this around, Brandon. I don't want to. At least that has set me straight. And then I went to get that haircut from you, and I remember just thinking, like, damn. It's in the right space. He's present. He's enjoying the moment. Okay, I just need to just
enjoy it, bro.
Because in my head, I'm thinking, like, dude, you're a really good friend of mine. Like, you're here, Jay's. Like, man, my life is good. I got all my people in this hotel. We about to go to this big event, and we're the star of the show. Like, come on, man. Like, but you know, the pressure sometimes it can get you thinking a little sideways. Sometimes you need a friend to kind of, come on, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah, just be in the moment.
Yeah.
I could imagine.
You're like you became like a blanket for us in that team, like just like that comfort blanket. Just seeing you, like, okay, we're gonna be good. We're gonna get these haircuts. Everything's gonna be straight. You know.
That was a great time, man. That was that's definitely something that I'm gonna think about. You know, my last when everything's passing through. You know what I mean? Like, just knowing that I was, you know, I had a small, little, tiny role.
Right. You were a vital part of that team. That team loves you,
bro.
And to see you doing it with Mateus again, like, I think you get to see what it's like for an agent, because every fighter's in different stages, and you, as you have all these, you're seeing it too, and you get to be a part of it. It's just so cool to see their development. You know, I mean, bro, you were California with Mateus.
Yeah.
Was that Lights Out he fought at? You've been to Las Vegas when he fought at Tough Enough. You've been to Korea for a zombie fight night. I mean, you've seen what it takes when he finally makes that walk, and you know, Bruce Buffer announces his name. You know,
man, it's gonna be amazing, bro. That's gonna be amazing. I can't wait.
I've been calling like Diego like once a day lately, and just going, and no. I'll just hang up. Just let him know I'm thinking, like just get that.
That, to know that. I mean, Jay, I know, I know I said it earlier, bro, but to know the way that you believed in him, you know what I mean? Like, it really, every time I see Diego, on TV headlining a card, you know what I mean? Like, I remember sitting on the couch. I was at the couch watching Noche, and I'm watching freaking Diego up there, and I'm like, dude, freaking Jason is incredible, man. Like what he's done. You know what I mean? Like just how hard you work. And I know that they know, you know what I mean? I know that those guys know, and I know they appreciate it, but I really, really hope that those guys, fully understand like how hard.
Diego made a post on Instagram after Noche, and it made me very emotional. He wrote a really long one, and he always thanks me and stuff. And, I'm really hoping this week we get the call and we'll be next. Even got like a t-shirt made. I want to do an ode to Hagler. Remember when he said, Morambi will fall? I want to do a Volk will fall, something like a cool little shirt for him for camp and stuff. But, it's crazy. Life's wild, man. Moreno being cut and coming back. Cheeto the way he started out. And you got Diego, and you can see Mateus in the rise. Yusuf being cut and coming back now, and he's on the brink.
Been on a freaking tear,
like you see a lot of these guys,
Chidi
man.
And Jaquani.
Chidi. I mean, God, how many talks did we have on the chair about Chidi and Jaquani? Right. Like, you were like, Jay, we got to get Chidi. Yeah. I remember when I first came to Vegas, I went to get a haircut. Do you remember this? And you were like, bro, we got to get you to meet with Chidi. Like, Chidi was one of the first meetings we had. We went to that sushi spot right next to Syndicate right there. And I was like, bro, come on.
I used to be in his ears like, dude, what are you doing, bro? Chidi, what are you doing, dog?
So good. So talented.
Bro, why are you not working with Jay? Like, come on, man. Let's go. You know what I mean?
I would joke with Chidi, like, bro, I had a man crush on you on Magic. I used to watch you, how athletic you were. I'm like, bro, you sweat more athleticism than I've ever had in my life.
He's such a dog, bro.
Oh.
I did, and we were just talking. I just cut him last week, and he was telling me, now that he's in the UFC and he's working at the PI and he's doing all the work with physical therapy or not
and strength conditioning,
but strength and conditioning, and they're like he's able to see his gains. He's being able to see how the work that he's doing. He's seeing the progress. He's got.
But how crazy that he's been that good. And there's that much to grow.
Right.
Like, that's how scary good Chidi and Jaquani is.
Scary good.
He fought in RFA 2012. It was on the casino, one of the older casinos here. I'm blanking out on the name. I remember looking at Jeremy and going, that is one of the most scariest individuals I've ever watched fight live. He was so athletic, so in rhythm, everything he did was just smooth. I remember going, that guy is a smooth operator.
Yes.
And I had seen Anthony. I know how good Anthony is. I grew up watching Anthony when I was in law school. So when I met Anthony in 2011 in San Diego, I remember thinking, like, dude, that's Anthony Jaquani. But when I saw Chidi, I was like, you got a brother? I was like, good Lord. But I love them both. I had a lot of good memories of both, in the fight world and watching them dance at the clubs. These guys are amazing athletes.
Yeah.
But thanks to you with Chidi, because I always laugh. I'm like, bro, how's Chidi not in the UFC? Good Lord.
Well, that's all, again, bro. That's you, man. That's you.
I'll never forget when he won on Contender Series and got in. He pulled me aside then and he's like, "Hey, man, I just want to thank you for real." And Chidi, like that right? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that. I was like, man.
Yeah, he's a man of few words.
Yeah, it really meant a lot because I'd always been a huge fanboy of his. Like, even I went to lunch with Mark Beer, who runs LFA, and he was part of the RFA days and stuff. And I was telling him, like, dude, remember Chidi 2012 when he fought that guy? Oh my gosh, like he's a monster.
I think it's gonna be a big year for Chidi.
I do too.
Like,
I do too.
I see his confidence. Like he's becoming a different guy.
I can see his desire to keep reinventing himself, which is scary because the current version is already a bad man, you know.
And I think the biggest problem with Chidi had always, and this is something I know. There was times where I was like, man, he might not want me to cut his hair anymore, bro. Because I'm always like in his neck about this stuff. You know what I mean? But I think he kind of got to a place where he was always so used to being the dog. He never got pushed. He never got drug into deep waters. You know what I mean? And I think now he's getting uncomfortable. You know what I mean? He wants to he wants to be pressed, and he wants to be put into trouble. He wants to be in situations that he's not comfortable in, so he can figure out how to get out of those.
So how do you do that? You do like Five Guys, Shark Tank, new guy every day.
Have to be, right? I mean, you know what I mean? But just, and then, and seeing him utilize the PI and and everything that's there, you know what I mean?
And he's got Anthony to kind of mentor him too during his experiences in the UFC.
Right.
So,
right. And he's, and he's got a good, he's got a good team around him, guys that care about him and want to see him, move in the right direction. And so, I really do see that this is going to be a big year for him.
But I do value that about you, Elliott. I know you've been honest with me quite a few times in the chair, and I think that's what I think I look forward to. Yes, I want a haircut, but there's also things in my mind I want to, kind of spitball on you and rebound, kind of, get your, your 2 cents on. And I feel like you've always led me right. You've always done right by me, and I'm grateful for that.
Appreciate that.
I know I've come to you with personal things, that. I've come to you professional things, come to you with all types of things, and so I think Chitty obviously appreciates it too, because you did link us up and you got us back together. I remember too, me and Jay left that meeting, he's like, dude, we're going to get Chitty back on the horse. We're all excited. I love watching Chitty fight. Like, I think he thinks I'm gassing him too much sometimes. Like, bro, I love watching you.
How do you not love watching
Like, you are poetry in motion. I love watching you. You are just amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time I watched those brothers, I'm like, good Lord, these guys, man, whatever it is they have.
Yeah, just nasty, just mean, nasty, the stuff that they do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really good to see. It's really good to see him in this position right now, where you could tell he's in a good spot.
He's got a good fight coming up too in March. We just booked. I'm real excited for that. I'm hoping that gets confirmed here shortly. But if it's who we think it is, it's gonna be a good matchup. I'm very excited for him.
Nice.
I think he's in a good sweet spot of his career, and I'm excited. I think he's someone that if he never got to the UFC, it would have been criminal. He was so talented for all these years.
So he gets to he got, and I know he was. I remember he was a little uncertain if he wanted to do contenders. I think he was really hoping to kind of get more of like a short notice kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know if I ever asked you, but bro, how did you get? Like, did you just present it to him? Did you get an opportunity to be on contenders?
Well, what we said is, like, hey, Chitty, we need to get you a win. Let's get you an LFA. We'll get you a quick win. And then let's see. If short notice comes up, we'll get you short notice. If contender series comes up, whatever the path is, let's just do this. You're too good not to be here. Wherever they give you in contender series, you're probably going to win. Like, let's get you where you need to be. And he was with it. I think he was just more enamored by how, like I said, I've always been a huge fan of his. Like, Chitty, if we don't see you in the UFC, it's going to kill me. Like, just let us do our thing. Let us get you there. And he trusted the process. I got to give him credit, And I think he knew too, because we had been friends for so many years, I think he knew how passionate I was about seeing him succeed. Because every time I'd be like, bro, even when it wasn't my client, I remember I went to his fight at Tachi Palace when he won the belt there, and I saw him when I would be telling, bro, he did so, like I just always been rooting for him. Him and Anthony are like family to me. I've spent holidays with these guys. Like, I love them, So I think he knew that we were just generally interested in just doing what's best for him.
And bro, isn't that crazy? Like, whoever was managing him before you, right? He got cut from Bellator, right? And then he just kind of lingered. He didn't have a fight for what, a year? It was like a year and a half.
Yeah, it was a while.
It was like he didn't do anything.
Yeah,
and it was almost like you got this young, super talented guy who's almost laying in the wayside because people thought he was like he was washed, or he didn't he didn't have the talent. And then he starts working with you. You get him a fight at LFA. Great fight. Yeah, gets on contender, starches old boy. You know what I mean? And then bam, he's in the UFC like nothing. You know what I mean?
It all happened so fast, and I'm just grateful. Like I said, he was someone I always wanted to work with. Right. I was always just trying to do it right. Like, him and Anthony said have been such good friends. I mean, for years I'd come out to Vegas. They'd be my first phone call. They'd come pick me up. We go eat. We go hang out.
Right.
They're always my boys. So to be a small part of his success was really cool, obviously.
But it just goes, but Jay, it just goes to show, having the right, having the right connection, having the right advocate, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Having the right manager.
Because the UFC loves Chitty. They did. I mean, I don't get it twisted. I mean, the minute he won LFA, like the UFC was excited that Chitty was back in action. Like,
Right.
I mean, they'd be foolish. I mean, you want to see exciting strikers on TV? Well,
Right.
that is about as
I
exciting.
mean, and
as
he hasn't had a boring fight. You know what I mean? All of his fights are great.
Chitty brings it every time.
Every single
He's
time.
must-watch TV. I mean, that's for sure. So
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Freaking love watching that guy. I get so nervous though, bro.
But he's also like, I mean, you guys are, I mean, him and Anthony are like super, I mean, years, right?
Yeah, years. Long.
I mean, almost, I'd say, what, 12, 13, maybe more than that.
I mean, yeah, every bit of 12, 13, 14
Yeah.
years.
I remember that's when I met him, and they were talking about you then. So
Anthony is, and those two guys are like brothers. Me and Anthony constantly going back and forth. We put crazy ass memes about each other on Instagram all the time. You know what I mean? I think I'm into sites. I'm sure I've got something coming up.
I love Anthony. I'm so glad he's doing good. He just told me he got back from Cancun.
And he's in a good spot, bro.
Yeah.
Like he's in a good spot. He's starting to get some pros into his classes. Like I think he's going to be a great coach. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I said it. I remember we were trying. I know he sees fighting very well. He knows how to see a fight, analyze a fight, break it down. I'd be a very good commentator as well. I think he's got a very good knack for all of it.
Sure. Because he does all the acting and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So
good-looking cat too. Easy on the eyes.
Yeah. That dude's the youngest 50-year-old you've ever.
Yeah.
I think he's like 42, 40,
Yeah.
41, 42.
Every time I see him, like, bro,
He looks
age
like he's like 30,
already.
bro.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, bro. He looks like he's like 30, bro. It's crazy.
Him and Tyson Nam don't age. I don't know what's going on with
Never.
this dude.
So it's insane. It's insane. I hate him. But yeah. He's they're both good dudes, bro.
Heck yeah, they are.
Love those guys.
Elliott, I really appreciate having you today. I always finish with 3 questions. First one, what would you tell your 18-year-old self?
It's going to get way better than you think.
That's a good one. I like that. Okay. You got a billboard on the freeway, one quote. What are you putting on there?
Come see me, you won't be sorry.
You're 2 for 2. You're killing it, Elliott. Okay. One song, rest of your life.
Oh, that's a great one, bro.
Right? I always love picking people's number 1 song, and I add it to my playlist.
Be Good by Gregory Porter.
I'll have to check that one out. Okay.
It's a good song.
Heck yeah.
It's a great song. It's a great song.
Well,
I got it tattooed right there.
Okay. Well, then it must be.
It means a lot. It's a very personal.
Well, the first 2 you hit out of the park, so those are good.
You'll like it.
Okay. Well, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Again, my boy Elliott Chester here.
Thanks for having me.
One of the best in the game. And catch us on all of our social media platforms and tune in again.
My man.
Yeah, dude. Bro, we had over under on you crying on Mateus. I knew it was coming, bro. I knew it was coming, bro. I was thinking this way. I was like, bro, I'm gonna get him to.
Oh man, you know what, bro?
But you know what though? It should mean that much to you, and that's so cool that it does.
Yeah.
It means that much to you. Like that's how much your clients mean to you. That's where it's at.